Hello and welcome to a little video. And yes, it is almost October. This will probably come out in November, to be quite honest. So this is a little story called MS Found in a Bottle by Edgar Allan Poe. Not many people know about it. I read it. You'll see. So one of the lines that this opens with is, "Upon the whole, no person could be less liable than myself to be led away from the severe precincts of truth by the ignis fatui of superstition." That's Latin. I don't know what it means. But our narrator, we don't get names, but our narrator strives to be seen as grounded, rational, and at times, because of this, comes across as one-dimensional and boring. He's got about as much personality as a block of wood or this microphone. He's quite a boring guy, and he's boring how he talks. But with this, the guy is rational, the guy is normal, he has all of his normal behaviours. And with this, Poe lures us into a false sense of security, because with a narrator this boring, how can anything actually ever happen to him? Really? No, the man has an explanation for everything. So the events in which our narrator finds himself quickly transpire to just go off the rails very, very quickly. Now those events being, this story, it's about 6-7 pages. That's it, at most. Now our narrator is on a ship because he has grown bored of his life in England and he wants to explore. So he is on a ship down near the Southern American coastline, and out of nowhere, a hurricane just whips up, just like that. No warning, it's a bit dark or there's some clouds on the horizon that look a bit dodgy. It just comes out of nowhere. Of course, this hurricane almost destroys the ship, and it kills every member of the crew on board, apart from our narrator and one other crew member. That's it. The captain's dead, everybody's gone, there's no bodies, but they're gone. And then, if that wasn't enough, this guy has been through a practical shipwreck and a weird hurricane. Now, the ship is described as practically falling apart at this point, and if things weren't bleak enough in the middle of the ocean with your ship falling apart and you're still in a hurricane and all the crew's dead, you don't know how to sail the ship, then a whirlpool whips up, takes the ship with it, destroys it, and kills the remaining crew member. The only person left alive is our narrator. But while the whirlpool is going round and round and the ship is breaking up in this whirlpool and there's bits of wood flying everywhere, the narrator and the guy are holding on for dear life. He sees the last remaining crew member get sucked down into this whirlpool and looks up, and on the crest of this gigantic big tidal wave, he sees another ship, practically within touching distance. So what our narrator does is jumps for this ship. Because, the ship he's on now is breaking apart under his feet. The crew members are dead. He doesn't know how to sail it, even if it survived. So he jumps for this ship. Random ship, top of a wave, over a whirlpool. In the middle of a hurricane. Which is not breaking apart. So our narrator manages to jump onto this ship and gets into the hold and hides for a period of time. And he sees members of the crew wandering about. They're unfazed. Unfazed by the hurricane, unfazed by the whirlpool, unfazed by seeing another ship break apart in front of them. Not that bothered. They're just going about doing their daily tasks. And so he sort of, ventures out onto the deck to, see the lay of the land. But he notes that every single member of this crew in which he now finds himself are old. And I mean ancient old. He describes them as slow, shuffling. Their skin is not falling off, but sort of waxy looking. And their beards they're aged. They've got quite marvellous beards. But our narrator notes that even when he's stood slap bang in front of them, they pay him no attention. It's like he's not even there. He talks to them. They don't acknowledge him. He stands slap back in front of them. They don't acknowledge him. They don't walk through him. It's as if he isn't even there. It is just nothing. And it ends there. Now I'll read the last paragraph. So this is a spoiler if you were going to read this, so skip ahead to this time. The crew pace the deck with unquiet and tremulous step, but there is upon their countenances an expression more of the eagerness of hope than of the apathy of despair. In the meantime, the wind is still in our poop. It's a sailor term. Stop giggling. And as we carry a crowd of canvas, the ship is at times lifted bodily out the sea. Oh, horror upon horror! The ice opens suddenly to the right and to the left, and we are whirling dizzily in immense concentric circles round and round the borders of a gigantic amphitheatre, the summit of whose walls is lost in the darkness and the distance. But little time will be left me to ponder upon my destiny. The circles rapidly grow small. We are plunging madly within the grasp of the whirlpool, and amid a roaring and bellowing and thundering of ocean and of tempest, the ship is quivering. Oh God! And going down! And that's where it ends. Now this is by far not my favourite piece of Poe's work. I found it a bit boring. I found its characters, I just didn't care. In fact, I was rooting for him to get sucked down into a whirlpool a little bit quicker than he actually did, because the guy bored me. It comes across as there's a lot of written words, there's a lot written, but they don't say much. And by not saying much, it does work to keep the reader guessing, but for me, I just found that I just didn't care. I didn't care. It had bored me too much by that point. I just couldn't care less. Now this is a early work. His good stuff came a bit later, so we're going to give him a few, it got 2 stars, to be honest. It got 2, just 2. It's lucky it didn't get 1. But I think this early work leans a lot into what Poe's work would become. The mythos of this sea, a ghost ship. And of course, with me liking whatever films I liked the Pirates of the Caribbean. I love the myth of the Flying Dutchman, and the sea fascinates me because I believe there are things in it that either we have discovered and are leaving alone, or we haven't discovered and have absolutely no. We'd rather go to space off this world than learn what's at the bottom of that sea. Conspiracy. Now, the Flying Dutchman is a very, very interesting myth, and this, although it had some points of that, it just wasn't interesting. Will I ever read it again? Yeah, probably not. Will I read Poe's work more of it? Oh, absolutely. But this is my review of MS in a Bottle, MS Found in a Bottle. It was alright. That's one thing you can take away from this video. It was alright. But let me know your thoughts down below, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, because it is almost October and there will be a video every day.